Alright, so we finally made it to the tier 3 level of Duelist. Let's try and flip for tails, and we're going to miss. And they're going to randomly choose for, I think, us to go first, right? Which I think is fine, because we want to go first either way. I've changed up the deck here. I'm using... Oh no, we're going second. Okay. I think it was in like Eternal Duelist Soul or something like that, where they would say they would choose, but they would be choosing for the player instead. But this time it's choosing for themselves, actually, right? But I figured, since it's a new level, we'll try it out a new deck. I've got myself this funky little dragon, anti-dragon warrior deck, focusing mainly on, of course, Buster Blader over here. Let's see, what can I choose to bring out? I guess we'll do Marauding Captain here, use his effect. They're gonna use Dragon's Bead, which I think just makes it where I can't use trap cards against... I can't use trap cards that target dragon-type monsters, which is, like, fine? Honestly, that's a-okay with me. And I think I will, I think I'll go ahead and use the Fusion Sword Blade Muramasa here onto my boy, Marauding Captain. And let's see if we can poke in with the Mighty Sangan. We cannot poke in with the Mighty Sangan. We're actually going to get 600, but knowing the CPU... Oh no, they're actually going to choose not to. Frack. Alright. I guess we'll end our turn there. They might attack into it and then banish it, but we'll see. Sangan's not a warrior, so Marauding Captain can't protect it. But yeah, so they are going to attack into Sangan here. Clicked another bit of life points here. And instead of... Oh no, they're actually going to let it go to the graveyard. Okay, I was going to say, instead of letting it go to the graveyard, they're actually going to banish it, but no. They actually let it go through. Okay. So I can basically add almost anything to my hand here. Honestly, Exiled 4s is not looking half bad, but I think I'll add a Marauding Captain. And maybe I'll crash. Yeah, we can do that one instead. We'll go ahead and throw out yet another Marauding Captain here. Use its effect here. We're going to special summon this Grandmaster Sasuke here, who's immediately going to get removed from the game. Great. Alright. I guess I'll attack into his defense monster. I was going to say I can crash Sasuke into it, DD Warrior Lady, and then have that activate itself probably to remove it. But now we have the Marauding Captain lock, because Marauding Captain has an effect that says you can't attack any other monsters, any other warrior monsters except itself. And if I have two of them, they cancel each other out to an extent, and it doesn't let it go through. Let's go ahead and summon Command Knight here, who's going to give everyone an extra little bit of attack points. But not enough to get through this DD Warrior Lady at this point in time. So what I will do is we'll take this and we'll swing into this defense mode monster. It's going to be a Masked Dragon. Who's going to go into a twin-headed behemoth. Okay. Let's go ahead and get rid of that and force the activation of the effect during this end phase or next end phase. We'll see. Ironically, this card's actually, this end phase, whenever it's destroyed, once per the entire duel, you can call it back. It's ironic because this card is actually restricted in this game. I completely forgot. This used to be a restricted card. But we actually have Cyber Jar here. I was thinking of crashing this lady into her, but I can't do that right now. I don't have anything that's super strong, and I don't really want to waste my United We Stand or something like that. So I think what we'll do is we'll just we'll clear the board of monsters, and then we can deal with DD Warrior Lady, I guess. After all is said and done, gonna hit another Masked Dragon. They could bring out another twin-headed behemoth, but they will not be able to use the effect because it is again only once per game that you can use that effect to bring something from the graveyard, which is just so funny looking back now that that's something that they restricted, right? To just one use for the entire game, and you could only use one copy because people would just set them, bring them back, tribute them, right? Do a bunch of shenanigans. I'm assuming. I don't know what it was like when the card was actually legal. That is one way to get through the dreaded DD Warrior Lady. Go ahead and bring her back to our side, this is the warrior side. And let's go ahead and tribute her, as well as her original form, Warrior of the Wasteland, in order to summon a massive blaster, or no, not blaster, Buster Blader here, and give him United We Stand for a literal one-turn kill. Unless they have Magic Cylinder, that'd be really funny. Oh no, whoo! Not gonna lie, my balls dropped quite a bit as soon as I saw them flip, but hey, it's okay. We just go ahead and attack into these tokens, and the next turn we should be able to presumably end the game here. Yeah, that is kind of how this deck works. There we go. Cleared the whole board. So I keep mashing the A button, which lets me like check if there's anything on the board. But instead I should be mashing, I guess, the B button, because I'm being impatient. I want things to hurry up. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think Fusion Sword can be destroyed, which is really funny. It's only destroyed when the monster itself, I think, is destroyed, which is really cool. But now we should be able to, unfortunately, he's not as strong as he was before, but he is still really strong. So let's go ahead and let's throw Gearfried into our opponent's life points here. Yep, all right, that's gonna connect. And then let's throw in our Marauding Captain. Nothing, okay. Little pause is giving me pause for concern here. Let's throw in our other Marauding Captain here. Okay. Let's throw in our Command Knight. Alright. And let's get some extra DP by finishing them off. Oh, they're gonna summon something. They're gonna summon this thing in attack mode. That's fine. We'll continue our attack and destroy your twin-headed behemoth yet again. Very nice. Very, very cool. Alright, let's go ahead and run that back. I'll choose Tails yet again. And miss the coin toss yet again. Let's see if maybe this time. Nope. It's going to just be a repeat of the last duel. Huh? Alright, fair enough. I mean, not entirely, because I have a completely different hand this time around, which is one of the good things about Yu-Gi-Oh! For the most part. Right? I don't know how true it may be now. I feel like it still is. I feel like it's probably more true now, if anything. It just doesn't always seem like it because of the nature of how the game works nowadays, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a type of game where like you can play these same decks, or like even just the same deck in of itself, right? You can play the same deck, and you can, every time you play it, you can have a different experience sometimes, right? Like it's kind of different now because a lot of things are more consistent. There's a lot of one-card starters. There's a lot of specific game plans that you're aiming to and all that jazz, right? But for the most part, every single experience can be different, which is like really cool, which is what I like about it's part of the it's one of the biggest parts of card games that I really enjoy, right? Is the like problem solving aspect of it, both in like the actual deck building, but when it comes to actually playing the game, right? Using the different cards you have to get your way out of a certain situation, which is why like I'm not a super big fan of like certain card games, like the Digimon card game. I was not a big fan of that because there's not like, from what I've experienced, it doesn't seem to be like too much interaction. It's kind of just you build your giant tower Digimon with like all those evolutions and then you just swing in. And there's not really a lot that your opponent can do to stop you other than like getting a security check or something like that. But I'm broadly generalizing here, right? I've only played Digimon very little bit, but that's kind of how it felt from the little bit that I've played. And then like Vanguard, even my main game now that is Vanguard, Cardfight Vanguard, since I don't really play Yu-Gi-Oh! Outside of like these video games, right? Or if I do some sort of collaboration with Chris Kane, or if it's like Duel Links, but I don't play like a hardcore actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? I don't play that anymore. Even in that game, a lot of the times you can play the same deck multiple times, and there is a, you know, by its own nature, there is variance because there's like triggers that influence how the game works and whatnot. But for the most part, most decks end up going through the same route. The only time you don't go through that route is if things go really bad for you, right? So basically, if you break, that's the only time when you get kind of like a different experience, which is kind of unfortunate. But that's just kind of how the game is, at least in the standard iteration, which is, you know, nor here nor there. Some decks have different different routes that they can take, and some of them vary for playstyle, right? and a lot of decks are more open, but the vast majority of them is just cut and dry. We're doing this thing. If we don't do this thing, then we're screwed, right? But I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh was also pretty good at that because they give you a lot of stuff that, you know, actually lets you do that kind of stuff where it's like a lot of problem solving cards where it's like notoriously like, okay, this specific card for this one situation kind of deal. But I think that's why I've also really taken a liking to Shadowverse Evolve, because it has that same sort of feel of like problem solving. At least like basically every time I play the deck or play the game, I should say, that's always what it feels like, right? My opponent does something and then I'm like, all right, how do I get out of this and survive for next turn? That might just be because I'm playing the game badly, right? Or I'm usually on the back foot, or the type of deck that I'm playing. But it's usually like I have a bunch of cards and I'm like, all right, so I can play this, deal this amount of damage, attack, do this, blah, 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 clear the board, right? And I have to kind of like figure out how to sequence things correctly to end up in a better board state. And I really kind of like that a lot. And I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh really did a lot of that, but with all of these card games, when it comes down to it, is also a matter of like consistency, right? You can't always just have an out to everything because you can't play every single card in the game. You're disencouraged from playing every single card in the game, right? Because that's not really beneficial to just have a bunch of Saki one-offs all the time, right? Games that have Saki one-offs all the time aren't that great either, right? So it is a bit unfortunate that, you know, there's, I don't know if there's any card game that's like that, that's constantly problem solving, but you know, I just really like that about at least early Yu-Gi-Oh, and I feel like you get that a lot in like modern Yu-Gi-Oh because you have like the extra deck and you have a bunch of different options, but at the same time, I don't know, I feel like you're also kind of limited based on what you have to play. But hey, in any case, till next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and have yourselves a damn good one.